up? What's up? See who pops on first. What's up, Joel? Alright. Get some stuff set up. What's up, Duck Rat? What's up, Eli? How y'all doing? What's up, Doug? The weather's perfect here. It's about, I think it's like 55 degrees outside, so it feels good inside the shop, especially when you're foraging. I've been in here hand sanded most of the day. Got all these. Kind of see it. Little guy right here, and that little vise that I made. I've been working on those, getting all these little EDCs finished up right here. Those are turning out real nice. I like this rich light. This is just 220 grit right now on both of those. Those look good. These things are super thick. I mean, that is a very thick knife. You take these compared to the 26 C3s. Like, look at the thickness difference there. That is a beefy knife. Those are starting out as 1/4 inch thick ADC RB2, and then I've got two 26 C3s and then two 1084s. 37 in Tennessee, 35 where you're at. Dang. Nothing to warm up your shop but you and the lights. I tell you, you need a forge. It's like a amazing heater. Now for me, I have a heater that's an electric heater that's down actually below y'all, if that wasn't something I used. But then I also have I've got a propane heater right behind the little 1x30 that's down there. This little propane heater right there, and then I have my electric heater. Make sure the anvil's in the thing there. Temperature in the shop is probably about 70, which is beautiful. You cannot beat a 70-degree shop. That is like awesome. And that's with the forge going in. My shop stays pretty decent. There's no real like insulation here. I do have a vapor barrier around everything, and then of course this is 3/4 inch thick wood on the outside, and then I've got 1/2 inch thick wood on the inside on all of the walls. So I mean, it's got a lot of barrier coming in. There's no real wind or air that blows through here. It's pretty airtight, and it works out pretty well. But yeah, 70 is nice. Hey, the piece of steel we're going to be working on. This is a chunk of ADC RB2 that I took off of one of the choppers that I made. The handle is a two-handed handle, and I cut out this little section here to make it easier on me. We are going to be making one of my friends a chef's knife. I'm going to do a frame handle chef's knife for him. It's not going to be a super big chef's knife. It's only going to be about a 6 to 7 inch blade with a hidden tang. So we're forging that out today. I've got the blade profile drawn out on the top of the anvil over here and marker, so I know a reference point to where I'm going to be forging to. And I will be making a video about this, but I don't know how much of the forging part will be in that video. It'll most likely be doing the rest of the knife and then having people refer back to this live stream to see how it was actually forged. But I am going to show the frame handle makeup on this. I'm going to show the grinding and all that stuff, do it all in a video that's going to release on a Shop Talk Tuesday build. So that way y'all can have one of them videos. I do still I've got everything coming in for the Arkansas toothpick sword that I'm going to be doing. Alright, so what we're going to start off with, let's go ahead and I'm going to forge the tip in. I'm just going to do the tip, and then I'm going to go ahead and step down into the Ricasso hidden tang area. And once I get that done, then we'll start drawing down the heel of the blade and work on the bevels. This, of course, is going to be our cutting edge here. So we're going to end up forging this back down to where it kind of comes out like a little sheep's foot, or a little, it's going to come down at an angle like we got a little clip. And then I'm going to end up just doing that preform, and then we'll push in here and draw the tang out. Of course, you'll see all that as we go. '20s in Minnesota. Man, that's cold. What's up, Steve? What's up, Chip? Also, what's up, Bob? What's up, Miles? You're typing faster than I can read. Watching you on the widescreen TV. What's funny about that, I can only imagine watching a video in this format in a widescreen TV, and the amount of black space that's over there and the amount of black space that's over there. It's just like widescreen, but I'm in the narrow form. I get again why they do that, so that people can watch these on their phones, and it's not like, a really small section here. The whole point behind this is so that you can do that. But I really wish that they figured out a way that you could turn your phone on the side and it would expand it out or something. I don't know. It's weird. So what are y'all working on right now? I know that y'all know what I'm working on. I'm working on getting all these handles like hand sanded. I've got a whole bunch back here that I'm working on hand sanding. I've got these 5 plus the 5 of the 6, because the 6th one is in the knife vise right here. I've got 5 of the 6 over here, and then I've got the 5 camp knives that are right there. Working on getting all those hand sanded and done all that. What are y'all working on? Almost finished with the Slavic razor? Heck yeah. Margarita, that's what I'm working on. 57 degrees in San Angelo. So if you were out in the shop forging, it'd be pretty nice. A couple of hunters, bird trouts. Just finished a custom tonight. Nice. Custom orders. That's what I'm doing here. Custom order for a friend. This is one of those ones where, I like having my friends have my knives, especially like chef's knives and stuff like that, because they'll use them more. Kitchen knives. Working on an axe. Hell yeah, that's cool. Edge quench on it. Vinegar to try it. That's nice. Getting ready to start 2 more tomahawks. Hell yeah. Like I said earlier, man, I really want to do one of those tomahawks. I've got the stuff to start them. I've got the actual handle. You can see the little bit of it sticking out right there. I've got the handle. I've got the drift. I've got all that stuff. I just want to get into it. I need to just say, you know what? This day I'm starting making one of those. Okay. forge this tip in. Like I said a minute ago, 80 CRV2 is what we're making this out of. We're going to forge that point in, forge that tip in, and then we're going to go ahead and do the step up to get the ricasso set, and then we're going to step it one more time and forge the tang. I'm more interested in just forging that ricasso section and getting that part done. Make sure to turn the notifications down so y'all don't get beeped at. So I'm more interested in just forging the step where the heel comes up into the ricasso and just getting that set, and then I can always refine the tang as much as I want after I forge the blade. So I'm probably going to leave that section a little bit taller, and then once I get the blade forged, I'll come in and I'll step down the tang just a little bit more. Got our little bit of a tip forged right there. What I'm going to do in this next heat, I'm just going to clean it up just a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and start forging the ricasso area. Is it really necessary for me to clean this section up right now? No, not really. I could easily just forge in the ricasso area and kind of mess with this, but I kind of want to get my preform kind of set on the blade tip. And then that way, whenever we start forging in our bevels and everything, it kind of gets to where it needs to go, and I don't have to do as much work later. So this right now is 1/4 of an inch thick, and we are going to be forging this down to about 1/8 of an inch thick. So I might go down to 3/16. We'll see. It'll be between 3/16 and 1/8. But one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the ricasso a little bit thicker, because the way that I like to do my my frame handle area, so where the ricasso goes into the frame, I like to leave the ricasso a little bit thicker than the rest of the blade, so it kind of tapers in almost like it's an integral bolster, and then I file down just behind the ricasso where it steps down into the tang. I file that down, and that way my frame handle butts into the back of the ricasso, almost like it's an integral bolster. So it's just like a real narrow integral bolster. So I like starting with this thicker stock and doing that. See what y'all are typing here. S'mores. Let's see here. Does YouTube monetize for live videos? Yeah, it doesn't really pay out much, because what you're really looking for with YouTube videos is the amount of views. And live streams don't really get a ton of views, but it's okay. It lets me communicate with y'all, which I really like. I also got my Valking challenge entry all sketched up. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's really not much money. There is super chats, super thanks memberships though. Yeah, and that's if people actually do participate in the super chats and actually participate in all of that, which of course everybody could do that, but it's, you know, I don't really push that part of these live streams. Sold 2 knives from local pickup tonight, $1,500, Richard. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I've sold quite a few knives while I've been doing this full time. And then I will be showing at Blade Show Texas, so if y'all want to come by the table, I'll get y'all the table information and all that whenever I find out exactly what table it is. But but I'll be there with one of my friends, Chad Kimmel. So it'll be myself and Chad. It'll be our table. Basically, it's his table, and I'll be on his table with him. And then we'll have Matt Rich there, you see in the chat and all that stuff. He's also one of the admins on the TRE Workshop Facebook page. But he'll be there with us, kind of helping out. He's going to drive down here from Colorado and spend the night at the house. We're going to do a little bit of stuff in the shop, and then we're going to go down there, spend the time there Friday, Saturday, and then come back on Sunday and do some stuff in the shop until he has to go home. Okay, so we got that preform done right there. This, of course, is the edge. That's the spine. As we start forging the edge, it's going to go ahead and start bringing it up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put the notch where we're going to transition into the ricasso. And then I don't want to start thinning this out until I do that notch and I start drawing it this way, because I want to thin it with a cross peen, pulling it this way as much as possible. And then we'll go ahead and flatten the spine out. But I need to draw it out as much as possible so I can get that height that I want. I want it to be between 1 3/4 to 2 inches tall. So we're going to go for that, shoot for that height there in that heel. I'm going to flip this around, and then we'll go ahead and get that area designated for where the ricasso is going to start. Just going to put a little notch in it real quick, so I know exactly where I'm aiming for. There we go. So one of the cool things that y'all will see if y'all actually go to the show and y'all see me there at the table, I'm going to have a few different builds there. Of course, I'm going to have a whole bunch of EDCs, some chefs, all that stuff, but I'm also going to have the Samurai Challenge build, the Karam Bowie, the build that I did for the World of Warcraft knife, the one that I did for the kind of the unique challenge or whatever it was. And then I'm also going to have the double-bladed dagger there. So if y'all ever wanted to hold those or possibly buy them, they will all be there and they will all be for sale. On top of all of my EDCs in different sizes and my chefs and all that. One of the things that him and I are doing is a collaboration knife. This guy right here. It's a Damascus Integral Bolster Chef. He did the initial forging on it and some of the grinding and things like that. I'm going to go ahead and do my thing to it. So I've got a little bit of forging that I need to do to get the thickness where I want it and then kind of clean up a few things. But that's what we're going to be doing collaboration on. I'm going to, of course, be doing the handle, all that. It's going to be a really cool handle. But I think y'all will like that. All right. Got 2 propane bottles out here because I know that with how cold it is outside the shop, that bottle's going to get cold fast. So, I'm brown bagging my knives at Eric and Chad's table at Blade Show. DL, it's Blade Show, Texas. YouTube and money in the same sentence. Dude, how accurate is that, man? It's going to be interesting. Now I will tell you this. I think that YouTube is going to be paying better with the shorts and things like that, because slowly but surely TikTok will phase themselves out. The fact that they're paying their creators so little, so many of the people on TikTok are coming over to YouTube because you do get better pay from YouTube. And those people that are making 2 to 3 minute TikToks could easily just jump up a few more minutes and make 6 minute YouTube videos and release them. And if those videos get 1 million views, it will pay them way more than TikTok. So there's a guy named Khaby Lame. He's a dude that does like these little videos. I don't know exactly what type of content really it is, what you would classify it as. He does like little reaction videos where somebody does something that seems absolutely obvious that they could do it better some other way, and he just shows that. He is the most followed person on TikTok. It's like 159 million followers on TikTok that he has, and he's got like 18 billion views on TikTok. They've only paid him like $500-something, and y'all might think that $500-something is a lot, but 18 billion views on YouTube would pay him like $50 million. So on TikTok, he got paid like $500,000. If he got all of that and it was on YouTube, it'd be like 50 million. So there's a lot of people switching over. So I think that they'll probably eventually start incentivizing more pay towards the shorts because of people transitioning and to get those people over. So you got the K-bar and the Gayuto ready for heat treat. Nice. I'm going to be working on this one as my primary thing that I got going right now. I want to get this Christmas order knocked out. I've got a couple of other ones that I need to get done. And then I'm going to focus back more on the EDCs and whatnot. All right. Let's go ahead and step into this ricasso. But yeah, that little piece of still right there is going to be plenty for ricasso and then tang for this. All of that's going to be blade. Especially for the fact that we're going to be forging this down to where it's thinner. It's surprising how much material moves whenever you got to thin it out. It's one of the reasons why I like working with 1/4 inch thick stock. So shorts revenue is really bad because short ads get virtually no watch time. 100% correct. Also, what's a raffle? In knife making terms, I've heard those. So there's a lot of people that have knife making raffles. My friend Jeff Peters at Oval Forge, he does a lot of the knife raffles on his sales page that he has. He sells a ton of knives that way through the raffle system. Unless they figure out a way to get more watch time in those ads. Yeah, I agree. And it's not so much the watch time in the ads, it's the demographic that watches them. The people that watch a lot of the shorts are between 13 and 25 years old. Those people don't have a whole bunch of spare income to be buying the things that are on the ads versus people who watch these YouTube videos in their full format typically are like 25 to like 55. People who do have a little bit of disposable income, they could spend $25 on a thing, or they can, decide to go and do a thing. The conversion rate for ad to buyer is a lot higher with the YouTube full-length videos versus the shorts. There's no real incentive for them to do that. Right. Okay, so I'm coming down pretty narrow on this ricasso area because once I start thinning it out, it's going to automatically make that section white again. So this next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to forge this point in, and that's going to give us a little extra length. Okay. I'm going to switch out these bottles. I didn't disappear. I'm still here, guys. Y'all weren't abandoned. Just swapping out propane bottles. There we go. So I've got a 100-pound bottle that I'm going to be doing and getting filled and all that stuff. That's going to make them freezing a lot less of an issue. We'll see how that goes. Let's see here. Get back to work. Good evening. See you later, Bob. It's also a good point. That's why gaming channels tend to do a lot of CPU. Yeah, oh, yeah, a low one. Joel is gone for yeah. So when it comes to a lot of the gaming channels, the amount that they get paid per view is actually pretty low. If you wanted to make decent money on YouTube, make an investment channel. The investment channels make the most per view out of any type of channel. Education is actually pretty decent as well. My channel is classified as kind of like an education channel, less of a creation channel. So my dollar per view or per 1,000 views is actually pretty decent. So I get a little bit more than the normal, but it still ain't enough to do hardly anything. What I like about YouTube is I get to make the knife, make the money off making the knife, and then make the money off the video that I made the knife in. All that material right there is going to be our tang and our ricasso. On the next heat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the round side of my hammer, and I'm just going to stretch all this out. And then we'll start working on the blade after that. And the blade should come together pretty quick because we're not forging like a round bar down here. Misty, what are you making? I'm making a like 6 to 7 inch like chef's knife, kitchen knife. I really wouldn't call it a chef's knife because it's smaller than that. It's a kitchen knife with a chef's profile, like 6.5, 7 inch blade, and we're doing it out of 1/4 inch thick ADC RB2, and then we're gonna get it and forge it down to between an 1/8 of an inch and 3/16 of an inch spine. And what I'm going to do is like a mini integral bolster where, because I'm making a frame handle for this, and I want the ricasso to butt into the face of the frame handle like an integral bolster does. So I want it to have a decent step down into the tang. And I just like the way that fit up looks better than whenever you do a frame handle and you have this really thin blade that runs into the handle, and you can almost see the gap between the handle scales, like where they're just like, almost like if you just attach it to the side of a full tang knife. I don't like the way that transition looks. I like it better whenever I can kind of almost museum fit the handle down into the ricasso. Let's see here. Just no, our demographic doesn't watch shorts at all. Right now it's Satan. It's toothpick. Thinks that when shorts is what YouTube is pushing lately. What I think is annoying about them pushing shorts is the fact that they're pushing shorts, but they're paying shit. So if you're gonna push the shorts, pay people for it. If the shorts is what you want us to do, pay people for it. You can't pay us more to do long format videos and then ask us to do shorts just because that's what you're wanting to do within your algorithm. Yeah, I'm going to have more than enough material for that to be Ricasso and Tang. Plenty. Yeah, figure out how to make YouTube happy. Is it something I wanted to spend a bunch of time in again? Yep. See, so here's my issue with shorts. As a educational channel, I hate shorts. I think shorts are useless. If I was like a TikTok dancer or some stupid thing, sure, that's fine. Because you can only watch that stuff so long, you just kind of want to see the thing, you want to move on. But if I'm trying to teach you a part of knife making, man, doing it in shorts sucks. There's a YouTube channel that actually does it pretty good. David Moon Forge, he does a pretty good job at it, and he's been focusing a lot on YouTube Shorts and doing less full build videos, and he gets a lot of information in that 1 minute. But me, I hate editing shorts. I think that it's just, I don't like it. Tiny house, off grid, outdoors, wilderness skills. Yeah, especially if you could do the trifecta, where you build a tiny house off-grid in the woods and you don't talk at all during it, and you could just do that. It's like an hour-long video and it gets like 20 million views because people are vicariously living through them. Okay, now I'm going to widen the Ricasso area up. So I'm leaving this little hump right there. Whenever I come through, I'm going to deform the absolute hell out of this material right here on the next few steps. So I don't really care what the transition looks like into this Ricasso area, because I'm going to have to go through and clean all that up, because we're about to just absolutely obliterate this section, thinning it out and making it as wide as possible. Go ahead, leave that how it is right now. Well, I'm going to thin out the back end of this a little bit, just because I want it to be able to be held in my tongs a little bit better. So we'll heat that back up. thin it down, and then I'll switch to a different set of tongs. Found that whenever you're talking about YouTube, replace the word algorithm with audience. True. Yeah, this is ADCRV2 that we're working with right now. So, of course, during these phases, you don't really want to work it while it's cold because we're really trying to move a lot of material. We'll save the working it when it's grayer for blandishing. You kind of go from there. What's up, Matt? Posting the bat. That little icon that he did. That's the old bat right there. Still one of my favorite things that I have. Nothing crazy to build it. But easily one of my favorite things. Louisville Slugger. That thing is absolutely crazy. Orb in the background. You think my shop is haunted? That could be. I mean, it's a newer shop, so I don't know who the heck's haunting it. Maybe the old shop. It's got a random 11 by 11 shop. It's sad because I tore it down. Now, technically, some of the slab from the old shop is buried underneath this slab. So this is technically a gravestone. My slab is a gravestone for the old shop. Start drawing us out some material. Switch to these tongs, little offset tongs right here. Let's see here. Eric, would it make sense to use carbon steel for kitchen knife set? Stainless, I'm sure stainless preferred. So, you could do carbon or stainless. Me personally, I'm a bigger fan of high carbon kitchen knives. They take more work. For stainless knives, you can wash them in the dishwasher. You wouldn't want to wash a stainless knife that had a really good burl handle in the dishwasher, but they're easier to maintain. But I really love the patina that you get on a high carbon knife. I've got some of mine that just have the coolest looking patina on them. Had a short do 4 million views. No, you probably didn't even make $10 on it. Surely Haunted, probably. Favorite thing I've ever made is a giant 15-pound wooden mallet. That actually sounds awesome. The log. Mr. Rich. Okay, so this step, of course, I know a lot of y'all are knife makers. I just like saying what I'm doing for the people who are watching this afterwards, and of course for some people who haven't really done this type of forging, where you got to take a 1.25 inch piece of steel and make it almost 2 inches wide. It takes a little bit of work, but with this being a brute to forge knife, I can pretty much just absolutely get after it. Okay, for a second there, I thought you were calling me a unicorn. But it's a go. I'll take that. All right. The old cross beam. Start drawing her out. Of course, we're going to come across here. We're going to pull this area down and try to widen that. We got a lot of material that we can move. Back up, go from the other side. You know, one of my favorite things about forging, as much as I've forged in the past couple of years, is whenever I really started hitting this hard and getting after it, I would get blisters, you know, across this pad, this pad, this pad, this pad, on this pad right here, sometimes on my thumb. I would get those if I was forging for like 4 hours plus. I'd get those and I'd basically work through a blister, and there would be another blister developing underneath it. Whenever that initial blister would come off, I would have another blister already forming on there. And it took a little while to get comfortable with how I hold my hammer and building my hands. I don't want to say it, just like building up its immunity to it. Not really an immunity, but getting it used to doing that process to where now I can forge for long as I feel like it. I don't have to wear a glove. I don't have to do any of that. I don't get blisters anymore. Doesn't matter really how long I'm forging. But it takes a lot of forging to get your hands to develop that, to get rid of that sensitivity. And getting used to how to swing your hammer to help it out. Getting all that thickness thinned out. So we're going to be thinning it out as we go. Our spine's going to stay decently thick as we're doing this, because I don't want to thin that out until I actually start moving things around. The goal right now is to move the material kind of where we want it to go, and then we can go through and start playing with the profile, forging in bevels. By default, when we forge in the bevels, it's going to automatically bring the tip up, so we'll be good there. And we're going to be putting a pretty good distal from the ricasso down through to the tip, because I basically want to be able to heat treat this after the forging. Of course, we're going to do normalizing, thermal cycling, grain refinement, all that, but I want to be able to get to quenching thickness. Like I said earlier, my overall goal is for between 1/8 of an inch or 3/16 of an inch at the spine, and then about 1/16 of an inch all along the edge. And you know, if I've got to grind a little bit to mess with the profile, who gives a damn? I can do that whenever. So this is just getting everything to where I want it to be, turning a piece of steel that was long and thin into a full-size knife. I love doing things like that. Let's see here. Would it be a problem if I used a 1-gallon glass pickle jar for a quench tank? Not really. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but okay, boom. That I was gonna hit on that. I saw a person today in a short Quench an EDC in a red Solo cup with salt water in it. It was like a brine solution. He quenched a knife in a Solo cup. Not even like a big red Solo cup. I'm talking about just a red Solo cup. Quenched it in there. Like, what? That's the craziest thing I've seen in a while. I don't think it would crack the jar because the heat would dissipate super fast, and you can get boiling temperatures in those jars and they're fine. Finishing my Nakiri. It's only my third knife. 01 tool steel. You think apple cider vinegar would help anti-rusting? Yeah, apple cider vinegar is awesome. I don't know if on my third knife I would be heat treating 01 tool steel, but you know, as long as you can confidently do it and take your time to get the heat treat right, do your thing. Ideally, you have more than one gallon of oil to quench anyway. Chicken there, doing knife at a time. Yep. Store my knife parts in red Solo cups before I put them together. Then have you quenched in a red Solo cup. I don't know if it was from Calculated Survival. He was just showing how to make a knife with the easiest, simplest tools out there. It was a good little video, but I just had never seen somebody quench in a red Solo cup. I just love seeing people heat treat, quench, and stuff like that. 1095. Y'all don't know how finicky 1095 is. I'm definitely going to end up with like a 7.5 inch blade. Let's see here. I'm making a knife with a few tools as possible. Yep. Using a Blowtorch fire brick insulated forge. Yeah, and stock removaled it with a angle grinder and then a paracord wrap. So anytime I see somebody on YouTube take a piece of 1095 and heat treat it up to just above, it's a red. It's not even like a orange or anything like that. It's like not even a fully bright red. They bring it up to that, they magnet test it, and then they quench it into like motor oil. You can tell it's motor oil because it's pitch black and it bubbles all over the place. It goes crazy. But whenever someone does that with 1095, I just go, yeah, I mean, it might skate a file, but the grain structure in that thing is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Like flaky salt. Large. Because 1095 is finicky, man. You got to do the soak time. If you don't do the soak time on 1095, it is not going to be a good heat treat. If you're just bringing it up to, 1475, hoping that it's 1475 because you got it to non-magnetic, and then you quenched it in some motor oil, I guarantee you don't have a very good quality blade there. 5160, super forgiving. 15N20, super forgiving. 1084, super forgiving. 1080, super forgiving. 1095, not forgiving. But for some reason, everybody starts off with that skill. Continue drawing it down. almost at the height that we want. So I'm going to do another phase of that. We'll do one more phase of the cross peen and bring it down just a little bit more. It's going to by default get taller whenever I go through and I start forging in the bevels, because I'm going to go from about the halfway point down, forge the bevels, and then flatten the spine down into those bevels. Yeah, that's the goal. Jumping in here to say what's up. What's up, Heavy Forge? If y'all don't follow him, click on that thing and channel. He's got awesome content. And I'm having a great day. Feels great in the shop. Feels great outside. Got the forge going. It's nice whenever you can have the forge going and you're not sweating. Using 01 because I plan on making all my knives with it eventually. That's absolutely the best idea. Pick a steel and get absolutely awesome at using that steel. I use so much 5160 because I know how to treat that steel. But same thing, 80 CRV2, 10 series, like your 1080s, 1084s, 1085s, 5160s, 1520s, those things I have on lock. My other steels that are slightly different than that are going to be like your 26C3s or 52-100s, stuff like that. But I don't make a ton of knives out of that. 80 CRV2 is awesome. That's what this is out of. I'm going to get a bottle of water. Oh, I got that in the forge. All right. I didn't disappear. Still here. So I do these Walmart brand blackberry lemonade flavor packets in the water. There's no sugar, anything like that. I don't drink sodas. I just pretty much drink regular water, flavored water. That's it. I love lemonade. I don't drink normal lemonade because it has a ton of sugar in it. And I'm trying to watch my girly figure, manly figure, whatever you want to call it. Trying to stay in shape. Just because, you know, I was out of it for a little bit. I was A shape. But whenever I cut into my ankle with a hatchet, they weighed me and I was like, wow, you're 225 pounds. I said, I need to go on a diet. I know some people are like, 225 pounds, that ain't much. But it was enough for me to decide that I needed to. I didn't really I wasn't eating unhealthy. I'm eating better now than I was whenever I worked at for someone else. Working for myself, being able to make my own lunch. I don't go out to eat lunch anywhere. We don't really go out to eat dinner at places. I make a lot of our dinners tonight, grilled chicken and all that stuff, and I like cooking a lot, but kind of made this whole thing a lot better. I'm saving like $1,000 a month, not paying for fuel and not paying for McDonald's and Qdoba and all those things. So just by not working somewhere, I'm saving myself $1,000 a month. Warmer. So on this next heat, what we're going to go ahead and do is come in and start flattening everything. We're going to flatten, kind of straighten the profile up just a little bit, and then we're going to start pulling out those bevels. flat. I'm not super worried about how straight this is right now, but you can see how we go from thicker to thinner. As I, of course, straighten everything, it'll all line up. But the whole point is so that this ricasso area is the thickest spot, so that we actually have the transition from the ricasso down into the tang, but up into the face of the handle, almost like an integral bolster. We did get the blade thinned out quite a bit. I'm going to go ahead and fix the profile just a little bit on the spine. I want to bring where it drops down from the spine down to the tip. I want to bring that down a little bit more so that it's not so tall at the transition from that clip up into the spine, where right now it's kind of like this. I want to bring it down to like this so that it flows back up into the ricasso better, and it doesn't have a really thick blade that then tapers just towards the tip. I want it to come down just like this. I want it to come from here and taper all the way to the tip. I don't want it to come from here and then from here taper down into the tip and it's bulky in this area. I want it to have a nice gradual taper all the way down to that tip area. Let's see here. Making homemade fried potatoes, a harvested. Hell yeah, that's awesome. I love fried potatoes. What do you think of W2? W2 is awesome. Fantastic steel. Homemade tater wedges from your own. Yep. A friend of mine gave me a bunch. Quenched in peanut oil. From now on, I'm gonna say I'm quenching potatoes if I'm making potatoes. Fried chicken. It's quenched chicken. I'm gonna quench this chicken right here. It's not fried chicken anymore. It's quenched chicken. That's awesome. I'll be saying that for the rest of my life. That's funny. Then we're just gonna bring this down a little bit. We have a finer point. I want that point to be nice and slicey. I don't want it to be really broad. So we're going to have it good here. Of course, we're going to be tapering it to the tip, so it's going to draw out more and thin out and become pointier as I taper that spine all the way down to the point. So on this next heat, what we're going to use the round side of the rounding hammer, and we are going to pinch use this for reference. We are going to pinch at about the halfway point and draw down to the actual edge. And instead of coming in and forging just on the edge, we're going to forge about halfway and then down to the edge. And we're going to thin that bevel down towards the edge there. So we're just going to use the round side, and we're going to come in, we're going to flatten. Round side, and then flatten. And that's going to draw the cutting edge down just a little bit and taper it real nice. Know anything about MaxSail tool steel? No, I don't think I've used that. I use pretty much the same type of steel for everything. All right. Like I said about the halfway point, already getting that tip to come up just by doing that, just by forging in just that section, kind of like the halfway down. We're already getting that profile to come up. And then what we'll go ahead and do, of course, we're still not the edge thickness that we want. So we've got to do that a few more times. We've got to taper that tip out. And we're going to do that a couple more times, draw that down, and then we're going to forge the thickness of the spine down into the bevels, even it all up, and then we can go ahead and focus on the transition from the bevels up into ricasso. Some of these steps are a little bit backwards from what you do typically. But because I'm treating this almost like an integral bolster knife, you do the process of the order of operation slightly different. At least I do. You know, I'm going to try and get things preformed to where I want it to be, and then we're going to work on refining one section, which is typically ricasso tang or the blade. We're going to get that refined, kind of get it about 75-80% finished. Then we're going to finish the other side, and then we'll come back in and finish the main side. So it's about doing it in the right steps to get the end result that you want. And with this, because I'm doing it kind of like an integral bolster, where I need the ricasso to be slightly bigger than the spine of the blade and kind of step it down into it, it's you just want it to be clean as possible and the transition and everything smoothing out where you want it. So not as aggressive as this right here, but that is what we're going to go for. You know, the bevels are going to kind of come in here. You'll have the ricasso. It'll flare up just a little bit into the face of the handle that I'm going to put on there. But I want it to have all of that coolness right there where it transitions up into that area. Of course, that's an awesome blade. We forged that bad boy thin. You can see the texture almost all the way up to the tip. That was forged that thin. And that thing is, we got a almost zero edge on that. It's one that I just kind of piddle around with every once in a while. And I'll probably finish it next year sometime. Whenever I'm bored, I mess with that. It was my knife, and that one's not for sale. Brought that tip up quite a bit now. Getting our thickness kind of where we want it to be. It's still thick, but we're getting it there. We still got to thin that spine down. What's going to happen is whenever I thin this spine down, it's going to drop that tip back down just a hair. So we need to make sure when we're thinning the spine that we're actually pulling it from here up into this. If I just thinned in this area here, what it's going to do is it's only going to bring the tip down, not the whole cutting edge. So if you start forging here and thinning it out like you're going to taper it just from here, it's going to just create this S hook like that. So you got to pay attention to that if you're going to do it in the process that I'm doing it. Quench the chicken soon. I could have some French quench right now. Yes. If an electric device goes kaput, it's quenched. I love it. Has anyone besides Fire Creek done the leopard pattern? I have not. Man, and guys, y'all should see some of the patterns that Steve gets. He did this yeah, you need to check out his Instagram for one, but he did this like basket weave feather Damascus. So it's basket weave tiles, and then he feathered it and all that, and it turned out sick. That was the one that he did with the clear handle. That thing turned out awesome. All right. Just gonna work on this just a little bit with a lower heat. More uniform across the edge. Next heat, we're going to go ahead and bring that spine in where we want it. And then we'll work on the transition. Basically what we're going to do next, after we thin that spine out just a little bit, is we're going to take the ricasso area and we're going to bring it down just a little bit so that it's more in line with the spine of the blade. So we're going to bring that tang and that ricasso, and we're just going to, because right now it's brought up just a little bit, which typically happens whenever you do the ordered operations like this. We're going to bring that down just a little bit, and we're going to clean up the transition line between the bevels, the ricasso, and all of that area. Show me your favorite straight peen hammer. So, that's the favorite straight peen. Of course, it's my main straight peen. But yeah, that's Two Bastards Forge. They're making me a dog head hammer right now, which I cannot wait to use. But that is absolutely one of the most beautiful hammers that I own. That right there. And then, of course, the hammer that I need to send to U-Chip is actually, where we got it at? I did a little bit more work to it. This is the one I'm sending U-Chip. I wanted to get it all back to perfect, how it was before I started hammering with it. But that's a straight and cross peen. And this is the same radius that's on my hammer from Two Bastards. But that's the one I'm sending you, Chip. A little bit longer handle on it. It's not as long as you typically get, but it's a good length for what I use. Of course, I tend to choke up all the way up here. But yeah, that's the one I'm sending to you, Chip. Box that up. All right, spine time. Of course, don't worry about the ricasso area, but that profile is starting to look pretty good. Got our taper kind of going. We still need to thin out this area right here some more so that it comes all the way down. Why are you talking at the forge? I will be etching my logo into it. You can always tell whenever she chimes in because it's like I know for a fact that I'm not typing right now. Okay, switch bottles back again. This one's cold. This one should have had a chance to defrost just a little bit. Defrost. I'm gonna bring this bottle and put it in front of the heater. That should help it defrost a little bit. Let's see here. Alrighty, you gotta go feed cows and horses. You're gonna go feed cows and horses right now? What time is it where you're at? Eric, it's wonderful watching your forge. Your Destiny, nice job with your friend. Thank you, Chip. We'll see how it goes, Mule. Knives like this don't take a lot of time to forge. Of course, if I was just forging and I wasn't talking, it would probably take less time because I wouldn't have it in the forge as often as I do. But I really enjoy this aspect of it. You know, if I had somebody in here in the shop whenever I'm doing this, fun. All right. On those lower heats, we're just planishing. That's looking good. We got that taper coming down a little bit better. Right there. Cutting edge. Looking thinner. Of course, we're not perfectly straight. We won't do that until the very end. That's when we go in and we planish everything smooth. But I'm trying to get the blade about 80% done right now. Kind of go from there. Whenever I come in and I do that transition area from the ricasso down into the blade, it's going to also bring that heel down just a little bit more, and it's going to kind of square everything off in that transition from the ricasso down into the heel, because what we're going to end up doing is coming in and forging that little area and fitting it. It'll make more sense whenever I actually start doing it. But that way it transitions, kind of like it transitions from the ricasso down into Well, it looks like it would be the bevels, but technically the bevels are just in front of that, so it almost transitions from bevels into ricasso into bolster type deal. Just like this, where it's, even though I technically forged the bevels from here all the way down, it's bevels, kind of like a little ricasso-y thing, a mini plunge, and then up into the bolster. We're going to have all of this transition just on a smaller scale with this one. Of course, a lot of this will make more sense when you watch the video of me completing it. Seeing all this stuff on the Grizzly grinder. He's got a lot of stuff that he's done with the Grizzly grinder. Love the way he chats and explains it. Helpful. Well, thank you, Steve. Okay. A lot of these hits are just kind of planishing hits. Not swinging the hammer super hard. A lot straighter there now. Good profile. It's a lot bigger knife than what I was expecting to make. So I originally was going for something that was going to be like a 6-inch blade. They are getting a little bit bigger knife than I anticipated. Yeah, this will be almost 7 3/4 inch, almost 8-inch knife when it's all said and done. Okay, so now what I'm going to go ahead and do is start working on the little ricasso area. We're going to flip around and start adjusting all that. So the reason why you don't want to get the blade fully finalized before you start doing this step is because we're going to be swinging pretty hard on it, and your tongs are going to bite into certain edges and things like that, and it's going to deform a few things. Things are going to start S-ing and waving and stuff like that, and it's not very beneficial to you to go through and make the blade perfect when you're just going to screw it up forging the other section. Now, on this next part, I think what I want to do is I'm going to try something out. Where are my little... Just got random stuff all over the place. Over here. Okay. I'm going to toss these in the vise. Try something here. Hopefully y'all can kind of see what I'm going to do over there, right behind the old Grizzly. When we first met, he was going to school, be an art teacher. Yes, sir. Or technically, yes, ma'am. Running at 30 or slower majority of the time. I just really want that small wheel attachment set up that you did, Matt. Okay. I was worried about that. Just gonna see if I can bring that down a little bit. I can't wait to use the new vise. Oh no, I did it. It did bring it down a little bit. Well, okay. That worked a little bit better than I thought it would. I can't wait to actually set up the new vices that I have, and then I'm working on getting a post leg right now. So it's just trying to find one that has all the components. A lot of people think, well, that's a post leg vise, I'm going to get that. They don't realize that there's like washers and spring clips and all kinds of stuff that you need to make sure you get with it so that it actually tightens how it's supposed to. Thinking about trying to bypass the VFD until I can get a motor that won't detonate. That's actually a good idea. Resurfacing the surface wheel. Yeah, I know. He's got 2 surface grinding wheels from that company. I'm not going to say their name if you don't want to. And even the replacement that was sent has a ridge on it. It's like, what the heck? How are you going to send him the replacement and it still be messed up? These bottles get so cold so fast. Gotta warm them up. All right, so we're gonna grab this and start working on this tank. I want to drop it down just a little bit. Let's where are you at, other hammer? Okay, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here, where it gets thicker here, going up into here, so that I'll step it down into the actual handle there. Now, of course, this is going to get corrected a little bit more. I'm going to play with that just a little bit more. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to actually pinch here and bring this out just a little bit. Because we can make that blade just a little bit thinner than what it is right now. What that'll do is that will bring that section back and down a little bit more. Okay, let's defrost this tank a little bit. Can't wait to get the bigger bottle so that I don't have to worry about this. The nice thing about the frost, though, is the frost only builds up. I'm right here, by the way. The frost only builds up as tall as the propane is in there. So you know that you're not empty on propane because the frost will be halfway up on the bottle. And like I said, wherever the frost stops, that's where your propane line is. So if you have a frost line that's halfway up the bottle, you still have plenty of propane in there. Don't go and exchange your bottle. What'll happen is a lot of people will go through and they will think, well, I'm running the propane such a low temperature, flame's still coming out, but it's a lower temperature, so my propane must be running out. But really, that's not the case. As your propane gets cold inside there and you build up that frost, it starts running way less efficient. So you just, think about that. Had flashbacks to Alaska. Yeah, she lived there. VFD motor stuff, reverse switch, touching the motor with the VFD. I've had some kind of bottles last 4 more hours. Yeah, I know. I really want the bigger bottles just to be able to handle everything that I need. I'm gonna get this heat out of this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to the other bottle. Okay, so let's come in. Stretch this out just a little bit. Y'all are about to see some magic happen. Boom. So if you remember, before I started messing with that, there was a dip here that kind of scooped up, and the tang went that way. So the tang was out here, and there was a dip here. So it kind of went down like this. So I forged this area right here, brought that up, and by doing that, forging with the rounding hammer here, it pushed this material out, and by default dropped it down, dropped this edge down, got that nice curve throughout that spine that we wanted, without trying to sit here and fiddle with this area to actually achieve that. So a lot of things that you can do, because I had that thickness in that spine to be able to do whatever you want. You just got to learn how your material moves and then work with it. I'm going to go back in the forge. I'm going to switch these bottles out. This one's defrosted. Go. Now we're cooking. So, like I said just a second ago, am I dark to y'all? Is the screen dark? I feel like, for me, for some reason, it's dim. There we go. Hopefully that's a little better. Small bottles freeze quick. I know that 100-pounder is the next thing that I'm working with. So like I said just a second ago, a lot of the forging techniques that you learn as you do this, and the moments that I could teach people whenever I do hammer ins and things like that, which I plan on doing in 2024, having people come down, teaching like 3 to 4 people at a time. It might be 2 to 3 people at a time. I don't know exactly yet. But being able to show y'all this in the moment, so that you know where to hit on the steel to get it to go to the place where you want it to go. Those are skills that you have to swing a hammer to learn. Because until you actually hit the steel and you see it go bing this way or bing that way, you don't really know what's going to happen. You're just kind of winging it. But learning what the hammer does to the steel, to move it certain directions, where you need to hit it, a lot of that comes with the practice. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of even everything out there. Now what I'm going to do is focus on this section here. You see how there's a shadow right there and then it's shinier up here? That comes down flat up into the spine here. Then it starts narrowing down. I'm going to start drawing this section back this way, and we're going to thin this area right here. Okay, so that area where it comes down is pretty wide right there. We're going to move this material down. So what we're going to do is hang it off, the ricasso off the edge of the anvil, and we're just going to isolate that area. We're going to pinch it, and it's going to bring that hill area down a little bit. Don't want to go too crazy with this step, because what will end up happening is it can kick that ricasso up the other direction, but you don't really want that. We just kind of want to pull this material down and not move the other material up. So it's going to be drawing it. Temps effect, a 500-gallon tank. I already had to turn the regulator up since it cooled off. So luckily, a 500-gallon tank, you're not really going to be affected much by the temperatures. You will a little bit, especially if you're using it for like your house and all of that. So for your heating, you're using it for your stove, using it for fireplace and stuff like that. The more you use it, the more the weather affects the actual propane. But on a 500-gallon, it's really not going to affect it much. On a little bitty old 5-gallon tank, it's going to affect it quite a bit. Okay, come in with the straight king, hang the ricasso off a little bit. Start isolating that heel. Like I said, what it's going to do is create that 90-degree piece right there. Just because we're isolating that material and we're drawing this section down a little bit, and we're going to basically create a transition from the blade up into the ricasso to where the ricasso is the widest part. The blade is thinner, just like we would do an integral bolster. That's going to look good, and while we're doing that, we're bringing the heel down even a little bit more, so that's the widest part of our blade. And we're just isolating that section. What we're going to do is bring that down, and then I'll come in with the straight beam, and I'll blend up into the ricasso, and then we'll go in and we'll notch down the tang a little bit, and then start cleaning everything up and squaring it up. Hey Nisha, are you still on the live stream? Let's see if she's still listening to me. Can you message my mom and let her tell Arlen happy birthday? It was my youngest child's birthday yesterday, so I baked her a cake. I did the whole work from home, stay at home bakery thing, and baked my daughter. She wanted a strawberry frosting, vanilla cake with mermaid theme and strawberries. So I spent most of the day being a baker yesterday, teaching myself how to bake a cake and do layer cake and all that. Dad things. Come down into that heel. We're nice and centered in the ricasso. We got this height that we wanted here. Let's see how tall we are now. We are 1 inch and 7/8 on the height. So that's going to be perfect. 1 inch and 7/8 on the height of that. Still got a little bit of cleanup to do, but right now our heel is centered with the ricasso. Spine is for the most part centered. Don't worry about this section up here. And of course we're going to end up cleaning everything up as we go through. As of right now, that profile is looking pretty good. Have a nice profile on the blade, nice and straight down the spine. So now we can go ahead, clean up this transition, which this is a Brute to Forge knife, so I really don't have to clean up a lot of this. I have it where I want it to be, but I want to go ahead and clean it up just because I'm picky. So I'm going to clean up that transition a little bit, not too much because I want to have the forged texture, but just make it to where everything goes in how we want it to go. And then we'll refine the tang some more, get the dimensions roughly to where we want it, and then we'll go ahead and planish the blade, call it done. Because our bevels are where they need to be. The one thing that I might do is I might thin the blade down towards the tip just a little bit more, and just put a little bit more of a taper on there, as I go through and grind this knife, it's going to thin out some more. So I really don't need to do much there. I'm just going to kind of, as I planish it, just clean everything up a little bit. Make sure we have the same thickness from that heel area that we just got done messing with through the blade, so that whenever we're grinding the bevels in, everything lines up real nice. Let's see here. A bunch of siblings, so between them and extended family, my mom probably bakes close to a dozen birth cakes a year. Nice. Yeah, no, I've only got 3 kids, so and I'm enjoying this whole making them stuff thing. I never really had time to do a lot of this because I always worked. And whenever you work for somebody else, you spend most of your life working for that person and almost none of your life with your family. It's kind of crazy how that works. You work your ass off away from your family, for your family, but it's like your family gets put on the back burner while you're trying to support them. Okay, come in with the straight peen, clean this up. That's nice and clean. Yeah, so now heat up that tang and get our tang profiled. I want, let's say about another inch added on to that tang. In between 3/4 to an inch. This is a kitchen knife, so it doesn't have to have the craziest tang in the world, because you're primarily, see you later, Steve. So because this is going to be a kitchen knife, it's not going to be a chopper or something like that. It doesn't need this insanely huge tang because you're not sitting there beating the heck out of it. So it's going to be a pretty thick tang. It'll be about 3/16 of an inch thick, about 1/2 an inch tall, and tapered down to about 1/4 of an inch. We should be able to get it profiled in just this next heat, because I don't have to make it perfect because it's going to be ground out. And then we'll go through and we'll clean up the blade, planish all that, and be able to wrap this thing up. Get that heat up. What's up, Mule? You were able to go and feed cows and do all your animal stuff and come back, and I'm still working on this knife. Step this down. Okay, y'all see how this widens out to there. This tang is going to start right here and then neck down and come back into it. And that really is plenty of tang, but I am going to just bring this back just a little bit more. Of course, I could do this later if I wanted to. Step it down and then just work on the tang. But it'll only take about another minute for that to heat back up, then we'll step it down. See here. Getting kids ready for school tomorrow? Yep. Got school, one last round of foraging and chat. What's up, Dan? Trying to run his grill off his house tank, but it doesn't work because there's low pressure regulator on the tank. Yeah. If you're running your house on that stuff, the regulator is way different. But what you can do is you can run a T before your regulator. So have your bottle, have a T come off of it, have the regulator that goes to the house, and then have a regulator that goes to the grill. And just have two regulators on it. Alright. Come about right here. Okay. Whew. Later, duck rabbit. Nice. I like this. I like the chat with the emojis. Yeah, we're almost done here. I should have this done before we hit the 2-hour mark. I just want to bring that tang down just a little bit more. We'll come in from the underside here now and drop it down. Okay. Our tang is where I want it. We got that nice step down. Now, of course, it's most likely going to come back about 1/2 inch. So from about here back is going to be the tang. And that's, almost got the phone there. Nice and centered there. So now we'll go ahead, flip sides, toss it in the forge blade first. Now for these heats, all we got to do is get it hot enough. We're just getting it hot enough to planish it. We're not trying to move a bunch of material. So we're going to be working this a dull red to a gray. We do not want to bring this up in temperature because this blade is so thin that if we get the wrong blow on it, planishing that is going to suck. That's a horse. It could be a mule. Just a really good-looking, horse-looking mule. You're a miniature pony. Are they miniature ponies or are they miniature horses? They're miniature horses, right? They're not miniature ponies. Whenever they're in a pony, when they're at a pony age and they're a miniature horse, are they a miniature pony? So they go from a miniature pony to a miniature horse, and then like a pony to a horse? I don't know. Maybe one of y'all know that. Just a dull heat. Nothing. It looks bright on the camera, but on the phone, but it's really not that bright. Now we're just going to go through and planish. Center that spine inside that ricasso, just as if we were doing an integral bolster. The easiest way to do that, to center the spine inside that area, of course the blade needs to come this way a little bit, is put the thickness of the spine, of the bolster area, on the face of the anvil and then just hit right in front of it, and it will shift this over to the side you need to go to. Let's say it was flat here, but dented in here. All you got to do is just put it on the anvil, and so if it was flat here, we would put the dented inside on the anvil, and we would hammer the flat side, and it would take that flat and kink, push it in, and center it back up. So you just want to kind of massage that, get everything in line all at once. Heat it back up again. Massage it a little bit more. And go from there. A pony is a horse that's shorter than 15 hands or 14 hands. Okay. So what do you call... So is a miniature horse a pony? Or is it a miniature horse? Or is there a whole new different name for a miniature horse that's not miniature horse? I'm going to Google it. Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows these questions or the answers to this. Anybody's chiming in right now, they're going, what the hell are they talking about? I thought we were forging. We are forging anvil hammer. We're just also talking about miniature horses and ponies and horses and the technical terms of them. So my goal for this week, of course, work on this build, and I want to get it completed. So tomorrow I've got to go through, do the normalizing. I'll do an annealing step tonight bring it up to temperature, about 1600 degrees, let it cool inside the forge. And then tomorrow I'll go ahead and, even though I did this annealing, I'll normalize it. So bring it up to 1600, let it cool outside of the forge. And then I'll do 2 grain refinement cycles, a 1500, let it cool outside the forge, 1400, let it cool outside the forge. And then I'll go ahead and quench it after that. I want to have all that done and it tempering tomorrow. That way I get my future steps in line. Heel is centered, cutting edge is centered, spine is centered. Look down it from the tip. Make sure we're centered inside our bolster. Or ricasso area, whatever you want to call it. Look good there. There's one little part that's standing out to me. It's kind of throwing off my eye. And that's this part right here. But that part is behind our actual ricasso area. So where it bumps out right there, that's not actually going to be part of the knife. So I'm not worried about it. But our profile looks good. That's going to look awesome whenever I come through and I clean everything up. But we're nice and centered going throughout that. Cutting edge is nice and centered. Even all the way down. Nice thickness. About 1/16 of an inch. About the thickness of a nickel. Maybe a little bit less than that. So now what I'm going to do is go in and we're going to do an annealing cycle. So bring it up 1600 degrees inside the forge. Let it cool inside there. And that is a blade. Again, if you remember what we started off with a piece of steel that was only like, I think it was 8.5 inches overall length. So 8.5 inches, its widest point was about 1 1/8 inches, okay? And it was 1/4 inch thick. So it was about 1 1/8 inches tall, 1/4 inch thick, about 8.5 inches long. And right now, overall length on that should be right at about, with the tang and everything, about 11.5, 12 inches. So we went from about 8.5 inches to 12 inches overall length. And then we got right at about 2 inches in height from that 1 1/8 inches. So it's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait for y'all to actually watch the video of me grinding it, putting a handle on it, so you can actually see that step down where it goes from the ricasso / bolster area down into the tang, and how that butts into the front of a frame handle. That way you can make your frame handle do a nice little museum fit, kind of step down into that ricasso area. It's going to look really cool, and it's going to be a very comfortable knife. So, and it's going to weigh almost nothing. I'm really going to like it, and I think that they're going to like it as well. It's kind of a surprise for his wife. And again, I love creating knives for friends and having them use it, because there's a lot of people that you'll find out that whenever they find out that you make knives, a lot of them are like, for some reason, they think that you're making the knives that you see at Walmart or at Academy, things like that. And whenever they actually see how much work goes into it, they're like, holy crap. But some of them are still, if they're not knife collectors or anything like that, or people that really invest money in knives, they don't really understand why a knife is $350 or why a knife might be $600. To them, you can get knives off of Amazon. So you could easily get a knife for like $35. And it's like, what's the difference between that $35 knife that says it's a Damascus Camp Chef cleaver, and it just looks like a kitchen knife, but it's a cleaver to them. And they wonder why that's $39.95 and your knife is $500. Okay, we are up to temp in there. I'm going to block the forge off the rest of the way and turn it off. So we accomplished everything that we wanted to accomplish. Really happy with that. Again, I'm going to be doing heat treating tomorrow, and I'm going to film the heat treating part. I'm going to film the bevel grinding. I'm going to film the handle part, and I'm going to try and get that video out for next Tuesday, for Shop Talk Tuesday. So we'll get the finish of this in full video form, and then y'all can watch that on Tuesday. That's my goal. And then in between doing those steps, I'm going to be working on hand sanding so that I can get these 11 knives up on my website. And then once I get those up on the website, I can go ahead and start working on the other like 23 knives that I have working right now. And we'll be good. What's up, Byron? That you're gonna have to go back and watch the live if you haven't watched it. We forged a 8 3/4 inch long blade, the actual cutting edge little chef's knife, and it turned out pretty nice. The end result's gonna be pretty cool, and the way that I have the idea for the frame handle is gonna be awesome. So I've got that in the process. I've got most of the stuff to be able to do the Arkansas toothpick that I'm going to be working on. That's going to be a giveaway build. So y'all will have that as something that y'all could possibly win without having to buy anything. And then, yeah, in here, it's just working on these knives to go on the website. I've got a few more to forge. I've got some steel coming so that I can make some chef's knives. I'm going to be doing a couple of videos on chef knives. And I'm going to be making a batch of these Serbian cleavers that are right here. And I've got a few of those. This one's just kind of up here because I can't really work on it until I get these other knives knocked out for the website. But I'm going to make a batch of these right here, because these little cleavers are kind of hot right now on the Etsy market and the, Amazon, whatever. I want to make a few of these in, real steel that are awesome and actually work how they're supposed to work. So I'm going to be doing, I think, 3 more of these and have 4 go out. But that is just an awesome cleaver right there, little Serbian. And of course, the bevels are going to come up a little bit higher on here. It's have a cool transition line from the texture into the bevels. And it's going to have a nice thin cutting edge. Not too thick, but just thick enough on there. Distal tapered tang. That thing is just, wow, it's just wanting to chop through some stuff. But the tip, the cool thing about this is it's going to be beefy enough to where if you wanted to actually chop through a chicken bone or something like that, you could absolutely do that with this. But the tip is going to be thin enough to where if you needed to get in there and actually slice something, you really will be able to. That is going to be an awesome utility knife right there. I'm going to make a total of 4 of them and put them on my website. The chef's knife is going to be real thin. So this is a smaller kitchen knife. This has probably one of the thickest spines that I'll typically do on a kitchen knife. But that edge, this is pre sharpening and all that. But it's got a nice thin edge on it. Nice thin tip. That's a full integral knife that I did. This is my own project that I've been screwing around with for myself. A full forged handle. Integral bolster, technically integral handle. But that is going to be my steak knife. for just whenever I'm eating my steak, I'm going to have this knife right here. I am going to be forging a fork. So I'm going to be forging a fork and I'm going to be forging a spoon. Y'all will get to see the fork and spoon because I'm going to do a video on them. But I'm going to have full forged handle, fork, spoon, and steak knife. That's super fun. Just because I'd like to, okay, saw that. And then just made some cleavers from old plowshares. Heck yeah. I'm really enjoying some of the cleavers right now. That Serbian that I have right there, I cannot wait to use it. I'm keeping one of those for myself, and then I will have the other ones go on the website. I really want to make one of these for myself, but the first 4 are going on the website. This right here is a knife this is a camp knife, okay? You can, of course, use it as an EDC if you want to, but the whole point behind this knife is you can wear it with gloves. So the handle is actually built, of course, it's comfortable without gloves too, but the whole point behind the size of the handle is my hands are pretty big, but whenever I have gloves on, it fits my hand just fine. So if I'm chopping through stuff or doing anything like that, it's a beast. It's 1/4 of an inch thick. It's going to have almost full flat grinds. It's going to have a nice taper to the tip because it's going to taper from all the way back here through to the tip. So it's going to have a nice taper all the way up to the front. But that is going to be a beefy knife with a nice spine to be able to strike a ferro rod, be able to chop through. You can easily baton through logs with this easily. It's going to have plenty of blade to be able to do that. And then, like I said, you can wear gloves with it. So if you need to chop into it or really get after something, it's going to be super comfortable with you wearing gloves. Let's say it's cold outside or something like that. But yeah, I really want to make myself one of these. A lot of what I do design-wise is all based on its intended use. You know, for some of the custom builds, I make them just however I feel like making them at the time. But for a lot of these things, if you're going to have EDC attached to it, I think about ergonomics and the different things that go into making a knife, edge geometry and all that for a camp knife, EDC, for what it's going to be used for. If it's a custom one-off build for YouTube, some of that stuff goes out the window and I make a cool thing. So minis are around 10 hands. Small breeds, 14.5 hands. Okay. So 14.5 hands. Minis classify as a 10-hand horse. All right. Noted. I will probably have this conversation with somebody in the future. So some people might not think that this is pertinent info, but you never know when they're going to have the pony talk. Okay. Okay. So what I got to do now, I'll go ahead, move the forge inside, shut down the shop, and call it a night. Guys, that is the end of this live stream. My goal is to live stream one more time this week. We'll see how that goes. My youngest daughter is going to have to stay home. She had a temperature of like 101 or something like that. And so she can't go back to school tomorrow. So she's going to be hanging out with Dad all day tomorrow and all day Friday. So we're going to see how that goes. I might be playing house most of the day. But I will get out here and do some work, being able to work on these and then go back in there and hang out with her, then come out here to do these. Luckily, the thermal cycling steps and all that stuff, there's downtime in between them whenever you're waiting for them to come back to room temperature, so I'll be able to hang out with her. I'm going to give her the information about the ponies and the mini horses. That way she has that in her memory bank. Guys, that's the end of this one. If y'all would, have an amazing day. Stay safe out there. And I'll catch y'all next time. All right? Good night, everybody.